long-necked sauropod dinosaurs became the biggest land animals ever. They thrived for 150 million years. Until they didn't. The biggest dinosaur ever found was 18 times heavier than an elephant. But is an even larger one waiting to be unearthed? We've been digging up dinosaur bone beds for only 200 years. That's why paleontologist Phil Manning believes the largest one's still out there. So he's on the road to figure out precisely how big the biggest dinosaur could grow. It's all in a day's work for Phil Manning, a new breed of paleontologist who's often too busy to play in the dirt. He probes for answers inside and out, shattering conventions. Ow! He travels the world, consulting with experts, putting his hypotheses to the test, and in the process, rewriting prehistory. Today, elephants take the prize as the largest creatures on 4 legs. For Phil to determine how big dinosaurs grew, he needs to work out what could have stopped them getting bigger.
Fantastic. That's a good... Oh, God, you got elephant breath.
To size up the largest creature on Earth, Phil will boldly go where few paleontologists have gone before, applying rocket testing technology to dinosaur bones. For this big adventure, Phil and veterinary anatomist Peter Dodson begin their quest in China, home to the longest-necked dinosaurs in the world.
Phil, you know, I just love coming to China. I've been coming here for 15 years, and it's the greatest country on Earth for dinosaurs.
Phil suspects the sauropod's Achilles heel might be its neck. No one's sure why they grew so long. One theory suggests sauropods use their necks to conserve energy by reaching a large feeding area without walking. But how long could they get? Paleontologist Hailu Yu
Hi, Peter.
is taking Phil and Peter to the longest-necked dinosaur in China. Hailu has a sixth sense about dinosaurs, naming 12 new species in the last 7 years.
Wow, is that the site up there?
Yeah, it's right. Up the hill over there.
It's an excavation with a view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hailu found his latest sauropod here and called it Dacia Titan. Only the neck bones are left to excavate.
It's a new sauropod just named last year.
Really? This has to be the newest species of dinosaur I've ever worked on, then.
The team need to get this neck bone off the mountain before nightfall, so they can reassemble the giant in a lifelike pose. That will help Phil understand the design of exceptionally long-necked dinos. Some Chinese dinosaurs had necks as long as half their bodies. At 15 meters, Dacia Titan's neck stretched longer than an adult T-Rex.
I've never seen a steel sledge used for a dinosaur before. Not for a field jacket.
Yeah, this is special. Made in China.
Each fossilized neck bone weighs a ton. This is the last one to make it off the mountain.
Hi, Lou. If everyone says let go and I'm the only one who doesn't understand, please tell me. Oh, I've got a dinosaur by the tail, and I'm not letting go.
No doubt the Dacia Titan moved its neck with a lot more finesse than this.
Ah! I hate dinosaurs. No, I love them. Ow!
Another Dacia Titan fossil has made it off the mountain. After they unpack it, they can start to build their dinosaurs. 150 million years ago, Dacia Titan grazed on green plants. Today, it gets planted in a car park. Phil and Peter are ready to help get the big beast back on its feet.
This is the ultimate in instant dinosaurs then, really.
This is the first time Phil is seeing a life-sized Dacia Titan.
It's beginning to look like a dinosaur.
And Phil's never seen a dinosaur assembled quite like this.
Please don't fall. This is like the ultimate health and safety video. Moving a scaffolding with two people on top.
The trickiest part is reassembling the neck. Almost all mammals have 7 neck bones. Dacia Titan has 19. And they're enormous. Moving a neck like this would have required huge muscle power. And huge muscle is heavy. But as Dacia Titan's neck goes up, Phil makes a connection.
Each neck bone has a rib on either side. These must have been part of the solution for growing really long necks.
The ribs not only provided structural support, they also gave the large muscles a place to attach. The ribs at the base of the neck enabled most of the heavy lifting. And some of these ribs grew taller than a man. In just 6 hours, the team has finished the mega jigsaw puzzle.
I'm going to go and admire your handiwork now. I think it's a really amazing skeleton.
Oh, Phil, this is stunning.
But 100 million years ago, you wouldn't want to have stood here.
No. That's a very bad place to stand.
Business end of the animal.
Oh, yes. Oh, boy.
Dacia Titan demonstrates how giant dinosaurs adapted their anatomy to grow longer necks.
What a neck.
In theory, with the support of neck ribs, a sauropod's neck could have kept growing. But at the end of it perched a tiny dinosaur brain, and what must have been a massive heart at the other.
Just looking at how far the heart had to pump blood to the brain, it leaves me a little faint. How did sauropods manage to lift blood high enough to reach their brains? Maybe their heart limited their size.
Fossil bones can't tell us the complete story, but without them, we have nothing. Since no one's found a fossilized sauropod heart, Phil has to look elsewhere for his answer. At Knowsley Safari Park in England, Phil's hoping the world's tallest living animal can tell him about the circulatory system of extinct giants.
Go on. Fresh leaves. Going free.
Giraffes have exceptionally muscular hearts to drive blood all the way up to their brains. With their high blood pressure, the trick is keeping their heads from exploding when they bend to take a drink. Luckily, nature provided a mesh of arteries and veins that act like a river system, diverting one strong flowing current into many weaker ones at the base of the brain. By analyzing giraffe blood pressure, biomechanics expert McNeil Alexander has calculated what it took to get blood all the way up to a giant dinosaur brain.
If you look at Brachiosaurus with a really long neck, it would have to have a blood pressure twice what a giraffe has. And giraffe has a blood pressure what's about twice what we have. So absolutely massive blood pressure these sauropods must have had.
Because if I cut a major artery, I could probably write my name on a wall 15, 20 feet away. Not for very long, and it would be very unpleasant. A giraffe, the blood pressure is huge, but you're saying 4 times that of a human or more in a large dinosaur.
But an even larger sauropod would need even higher blood pressure. So what's the limit?
If I'm really going to understand the dinosaur's dilemma of getting blood to the brain, I need to see for myself what it takes to get liquid 4 stories into the air.
Phil visits Berkeley Fire Station in California to learn about dizzying heights and high pressure. He wants to use these fire trucks to simulate a dino's circulatory system.
Hi guys.
Hey. Howdy.
This is my dinosaur for a day. This actually is going to be my dinosaur's heart.
Okay.
That's going to be my dinosaur's back and neck. The whole idea is that this is going to act as the most powerful heart I can find, because we're going to pretend this water is blood today.
So the heart. The heart. Okay. This is a big heart. It's a 2,000 gallon per minute heart, and it can probably move your blood or water as far as you need it to move.
This heart can fill a backyard swimming pool in just 5 minutes.
Come on, I got to see this in action.
All right. Okay. Let's go suit you up. So here's your helmet. Fit on there. Your chin.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. Well, where next?
Okay, straight to the ladder.
Phil's going out on a limb to see what it takes to get water 4 stories high, up to a browsing sauropod's level. The ladder is 3 stories long.
I clip in right now.
Phil straps in so he can safely control the high-pressure hose
Rocking.
and aim the water at the 4th floor.
It's like a herd of elephants taking a piss.
The firefighters start out at a pressure that can hit the side of the building, simulating the dinosaur's head at the same height as its heart. But as it lifts its head to browse, it raises some problems. The firefighters hold the pressure as they raise the ladder.
Well, I suppose I'm still doing okay at this point if I'm lifting up to have a browse on high vegetation.
Phil starts to feel the pressure, or the lack of it.
No, that's it. Can't do it anymore. That's pretty hopeless. I think I'm going to pass out.
Phil calls for more pressure. They crank it up to nearly double.
Bit more. I'm almost there. Come on, Hart, do your job. Yes, come on, a bit more.
There we are. The pump's working as best as it can. The heart's a beating.
Absolutely great. Yes! That's more like a high-pressure system. That's going to get enough blood to my brain that I can function whilst browsing high in the trees.
It took twice as much pressure to get water from heart level to the top of Dacia Titan's reach. If super long-necked dinosaurs held their heads this high, they'd need a heart the weight of 2 small cars. Running a pump that size would require more energy than it takes to fuel the rest of its body. The fire truck experiment has made Phil question if sauropods really functioned this way. He needs to approach the problem from a different angle.
The question is, did they lift their heads this high? It's just had a heart attack.
What if our assumptions about the angle of sauropods' necks are wrong? When it comes to reconstructing dinosaurs, paleontology is as much an art as a science. And when a dinosaur strikes a pose, there's no guarantee it's correct. At the University of Oregon, Kent Stevens has written software to help take the human element out of dinosaur reconstruction.
Going into museums, they change. They change the position of the skeletons, and I'm sat there with howling a plastic dinosaur that looks incorrect. What's going on with this?
Well, I think one of the problems is we fulfill our own fantasies and desires, and we want these sauropods to have their necks go straight up in the air because it looks really, really cool that way.
Kent's Diamorph software lets him reconstruct thousands of virtual dinosaurs and test how they
But
move.
actually, if you go back to the original specimens...
Impossible to do with actual fossils.
...of the original artwork that shows how they were found. If you look at how the sauropods' bones fit together, they don't show any hidden curvature. They seem to be boringly straightforward, just moving from one bone to another. You're just following a smooth arc.
The Dinomorph software has helped reveal that sauropods did not hold their necks upright like giraffes, but horizontally.
If you simply make this kind of straight here, because there's absolutely no evidence to suggest that it went up.
Unless, of course, you have some way of getting a bolt of lightning up the backside of a dinosaur and making it sit. Whoa!
Kent Stevens' work has challenged assumptions and aided in redrawing the shape of sauropods. Phil realizes if they didn't hold their heads way above their hearts, sauropods wouldn't need such high blood pressure. So that wasn't a factor that limited their growth. Phil has to look elsewhere. For inspiration, he consults the Supersaurus. Close to 3 school buses long and about 40 tons, it's one of the biggest dinosaurs unearthed in North America.
I want to figure out how dinosaurs adapted a skeleton that was strong enough, yet light enough to move. How big could a skeleton get and still function?
Professor Matt Weddle might hold the answer. At Brigham Young University in Utah, he's amassed a huge collection of hard data about bones.
This is a cathedral to ancient time.
Out of the thousands of bones in these catacombs, Phil's after just one. But it's a whopper. A Supersaurus backbone.
Blimey! That is huge!
One of the biggest vertebrae backbones of anything that ever lived.
It's ridiculous. I love the size comparison.
Phil compares one human vertebra to the same bone from Supersaurus. And it really puts the weight issue in perspective.
It's just ridiculous to compare. What is that one?
This is from the middle of the back of an elephant, but still nothing on the scale of this back vertebra from Supersaurus.
The bones of an adult elephant weigh about a ton.
Our bones are fairly light, but that one, that's pretty dense.
Pretty substantial. And now if this thing was built to the same scale, the same density as this, it would weigh hundreds of pounds. I don't think the animal would have been able to lift it.
It was vision of this fat sauropod sort of stood there with this perplexed look. I can't move.
Unable to move, exactly.
But somehow giant dinosaurs found a way to lug their big bones around. And the answer lies hidden inside the bones themselves.
Do you think the patient's going to survive, Doctor?
It's not looking good. I think we're going to have to amputate.
Matt and Phil take a close look at the leg bone of a cow to understand what makes mammal bones so heavy.
Yep. Oh.
Suddenly I'm not feeling hungry.
Now you can see that thick white bone around the outside, and the marrow inside is mostly fat, but with lots of blood vessels as well.
Animals build only as much bone as they need to support themselves, and they fill up the empty space with marrow.
Oh gosh, look at that blood coming out.
Marrow is incredibly light and keeps mammal bones from getting too heavy.
I think you're gonna love this.
It smells disgusting.
Yeah, look at that nice fatty marrow coming out. It's nutritious, but it's also just about the lightest, cheapest thing that your body can build to fill that space.
Dinosaur leg bones had marrow too. No shocker there. But when Matt put sauropod backbones through a CT scanner, he found a real surprise. The X-ray slices from the CT scans revealed not marrow, but a honeycomb pattern inside the dinosaur back and neck bones, filled only with air. Matt's work showed the bigger dinosaurs got, the more air they had in their vertebrae.
This is one neck vertebra from Supersaurus.
A neck bone like this would have been light enough for one man to lift. A same-size mammal bone would require a forklift.
Now, we found that the biggest of these sauropods, the vertebrae were about 90% air. So that's comparable to styrofoam.
So the bigger the dinosaurs got, the more air sac-like structures running into the bone.
Absolutely. They had found a solution that no other big animal has ever used.
So it's official, the biggest dinosaurs ever to have walked on the planet were potentially airheads.
Yes, they were airheads.
This feather-light adaptation was definitely a secret to sauropod success, helping them supersize.
The innovation of air-filled bones certainly helped dinosaurs resolve a weighty issue. But it brings up another one. As they grew larger, how did dinosaurs take in enough oxygen to function?
At Manchester University in England, they think they've figured it out. Respiration expert Jonathan Codd and his team study how reptiles, mammals and birds breathe. They've compared how well each system circulates oxygen throughout the body. Jonathan believes he can apply what they've learned to dinosaurs for the very first time.
Hi there, John.
Hey, Phil.
To demonstrate how different groups of animals breathe, he'll pit Phil's mammalian lungs against a bird's.
Something like that, something like that. The good news is we found a way to stop you talking by putting this thing in your mouth.
Cheeky sod. Okay.
Jonathan will record the efficiency of Phil's lungs under stress.
Okay. So where do we start?
Okay, so if you just pop this thing in your mouth and get the machine going, I'll start this running over here.
As Phil becomes more active, his body demands more oxygen. But Phil can only extract as much oxygen as his lungs can hold. But he's only getting fresh air to his lungs when he inhales. Birds, on the other hand, get fresh air to the lungs when they breathe in and out.
So how do I compare with the birds?
And what our data actually show is that an ostrich is able to run far more economically than you. And part of the reason for this is because of its extremely unique and extremely efficient respiratory system.
Jonathan's study shows that with every breath, a bird can extract twice as much oxygen from the air as the same size mammalian lung.
If you want to be a marathon runner or a sprinter, you need some bird lungs.
It's because birds not only have lungs, but an intricate system of air sacs that help extract more oxygen with each breath. Whether a bird exhales or inhales, the air sacs provide a constant flow of fresh oxygen to the lungs. So it's no surprise that these cranes can find enough oxygen to fly over the Himalaya, while human climbers struggle to get enough to walk. Phil wants to eye up his avian competitors and get a better idea of how this bird-breathing system could have worked for giant dinosaurs.
Need some more hand. Ow hand, ow hand, ow hand, ow. No, fingers. Oh, you bugger. Right.
And all of our work just keeps reinforcing over and over again that the respiratory system these guys have is just absolutely the Ferrari of lungs. It is absolutely the most efficient respiratory system you can have.
In order for dinosaurs to get enough oxygen for their massive bodies, they had to have efficient lungs. They had to have something like bird breath. So if dinosaurs had a bird-like breathing system, it solves another big problem.
That's one of the other great things about having a bird lung, is having these giant air sacs that can hold an enormous volume of air means that you can function with an extremely long neck. Because you've got such a large volume actually within the body there, it's easy to move this volume in and out with a large neck. And this neck's, probably proportionally something like you would see in some of those sauropod dinosaurs.
I'm grateful that they haven't inherited the teeth of their ancestors.
Absolutely.
Phil's learned a lot on his journey, but so far he hasn't found a limiting factor to stop dinosaurs getting bigger. So now it's just a question of scale.
Scrooge! That's huge!
Time on up!
Even the largest, strongest things on the planet can't escape the weakest force in the universe.
Oh my god.
Gravity.
It's like climbing Mount Everest.
Size matters.
Clearly, in this case.
Whether you're talking about monster trucks or monster dinosaurs.
Let's go.
Bigger parts need to be stronger parts because stress and strain get upsized too. Unlike dinosaurs, a truck chassis and axle can be built of materials strong enough to take on nearly anything.
Do you have problems parking this thing?
No, we can park anywhere we want. We can park right over here. No problem. It doesn't matter. But for nature to build monster-sized dinosaurs, bone is the only material it has for taking on extra loads. Can Phil work out how the bones of massive animals handle the pressure of living and moving on land? How was that?
I'd hate to see what a 50-ton dinosaur could do. That was awesome.
Can I get out now, please?
Just watch your step when you get out. It's a long ways down.
Thank you.
In a large animal like a horse, galloping, trotting, and even just walking puts extra weight on its skeleton. When a horse walks, it always has at least one leg off the ground. And the 3 other legs bear its weight. At a trot, one leg carries at minimum twice the load compared to standing. When galloping, it's 3 times the load. But how does the skeletal stress of locomotion compare with the pressure to have sex? It turns out mating isn't as stressful as it seems, even for elephants. The 6-legged tango is only as tough on the legs as taking a walk. That's why an African bull elephant and a female half his size can enjoy a heavy date without catastrophe. Phil revisits biomechanics expert McNeil Alexander, who believes when it comes to dinosaur sex, the challenge wasn't about weight, but position.
I think the dinosaurs were a much worse problem than giraffes, and it's not a problem of mass, it's a problem of geometry. Because a giraffe, the male can come in from the rear. For a dinosaur, there's a quacking great tail in the way.
The biggest dinosaur in the world had a tail estimated at 7 tons. There's nothing easy about getting a leg over that.
The thought of having to undertake geometry before sexual intercourse would be very perturbing.
It'd be great to see it happen, wouldn't it?
I think we're going to stop at that point. It's just wrong.
I've got to stop thinking about sex and find a way to figure out how much load a moving dinosaur skeleton could take.
Phil heads to SpaceX, a space exploration company in Los Angeles, in search of a testing tool that can handle astronomical amounts of pressure. He has a hunch that technology used here can help him answer questions about the biggest creatures to walk the Earth. SpaceX uses a virtual testing technique called finite element analysis, FEA, to design reusable rockets. The technique helps them work out the breaking point of their spacecraft before it leaves the launch pad, or even the drawing board. Phil and his team will apply FEA to work out the potential breaking point of dino bones. If they succeed, they believe they'll be the first to use this technique to calculate how big dinosaurs possibly grew.
So how many craft have you got being built in here at the moment?
Let me see. Right now we've got 3 spacecraft in various forms of assembly.
Jeff Rikiki is the director of structural design at SpaceX.
Truth. What's this guy doing over here?
This is what the Dragon's going to end up looking like.
So is this what you use the computer modelling to do the FEA on?
It is. This is so that when we get done with doing the FEA analysis, it will go and everything will work perfect first time out.
That's fantastic.
You want to take a look inside?
Can I?
You bet. In fact, you can get inside.
Awesome.
FEA is an incredibly useful tool for testing something expensive or extinct.
Okay, get this up there. Okay, I got it.
And then, this is one small step for man, but a giant leap for a paleontologist.
You all right in there?
The force is strong in you. I tell you what, though, looking at the internal structure of this, it reminds me of dinosaur bone. I can imagine how we can use finite element modelling to work out how big dinosaurs can get. God, it's too bloody steep, these sides. Oi!
See you around.
Very good. Very nice. Gonna come out now?
FEA relies on a structurally accurate 3D model of the part being tested, in this case, a weight-bearing dinosaur bone, to see how much stress it could take under various conditions until it breaks. The result would suggest how big a dinosaur could grow before its skeleton fails. Jeff and Phil head to FEA Central.
It's pretty amazing. Okay, and this is our mission control.
Fantastic. I can't believe I'm a paleontologist working with a rocket scientist.
Whether you're a supersized dinosaur or a rocket, you have to deal with heavy loads.
Here we are getting ready to launch.
This rocket, designed to be as light as possible, must endure huge forces trying to drag it down, as if it were towing a giant sauropod dinosaur.
And of course, we try to push it right to its limit.
To test the effect of these forces, Jeff creates a virtual 3D model, like this capsule designed to carry cargo and people.
But it's our job to try to figure out how to make it so safe that people can fly and always come back.
That's a good thing. I'm
It's
sure
a
the
real good thing.
astronauts like to hear that.
Everyone likes to hear that one.
Each color represents a different material or thickness of material. Under pressure, as an area approaches its breaking point, it changes color. Engineers can make the capsule bigger or smaller and see how it reacts to the change. And the only damage is virtual.
We typically use it on it before every test to make sure that the test goes right the first time. It's real expensive to do trial and error. You want to figure it out on a computer where it's a lot cheaper before you go and test it in metal.
The FEA model builder needs to know three things: the shape, material properties, and the thickness. Phil knows the shape and the properties of bone, but the thickness, that's a problem. Fossils are stone, not bone. Over time, minerals replaced the actual bone material. To measure how thick the wall of the bone used to be, Phil has to see through rock. And that's the challenge he faces. But if Phil can pull this off, he could be the first to use FEA to figure out how big dinosaurs could get. With all that he's learned about sauropod necks, hearts and lungs, Phil's off to Argentina, home to the world's heaviest known dinosaur. He enlists the help of computational zoologist Bill Sellers, whose team will help construct the virtual model of the world heavyweight champ, the 90-ton Argentinosaurus. It stretched to 30 meters long and weighed as much as 18 elephants. Paleontologist Rodolfo Correa helped excavate Argentinosaurus in 1990 and founded the Carmen Funes Municipal Museum, which displays the bones.
Hello.
Hi there, Rodolfo.
How you do?
Good to see you,
Bill,
mate.
good to see you. Well, I got a little something for you guys.
Okay.
I've heard it's very large. Oh, there's nothing little about that. That's huge. That is awesome.
It's a model of the largest dinosaur yet discovered.
Why did you call it Argentinosaurus?
Well, this is the biggest dinosaur ever. Was the biggest thing that we can find in this country, which is the hugest thing that we can find, the country itself. So that's why we call it Argentinosaurus.
Bingo.
Phil and Bill want to have a look at the thigh bone of Argentinosaurus.
It's enormous.
That's what bones are.
Well, this is our baby.
Baby?
A monster.
It is a monster baby.
It's the biggest femur that I ever found.
The largest bone in the largest dinosaur could help the guys calculate how big dinosaurs could grow. Thigh bones bear the brunt of the Argentinosaurus's mass, so they can provide the most accurate information on how much weight a dino bone can handle.
So it's critical by taking data from this bone, putting it into a computer model, then we really can nail how big dinosaurs could grow.
And remember, once we get this in the computer, we can make it as big as we like. If we want this 10 times bigger, we can make a computer model that's 10 times bigger, and we can see how that would work.
But in order to get it into the computer, they need to work out its thickness. The thigh bone is basically a cylinder. The width of its wall will help the guys calculate its load limit. So Phil needs to look inside.
Ideally, we want to know how thick the bone is, the outer bone to this enormous femur.
That would be good.
Can we saw it in half?
Not an option.
Okay.
Sorry. You need to see inside the bone without breaking the bone.
Can't even drill a little hole?
X-ray vision.
Phil and Bill ponder how to see through the fossilized bone.
Probably disease.
We can't slice it in half. X-rays are out of the question because it's just sat here in a museum, so we can't really radiate people.
What about sound?
Yeah, there's an option. Sound waves can obviously get through quite dense objects.
But don't they use that sort of technology for oil pipelines, looking at welds and things?
Looking inside a fossil takes some thinking outside the box. Technology from the oil industry might offer a solution. Petroleum engineers use sound waves to test the thickness of oil pipelines without cutting them open. Physicians use similar technology to create sonograms. But instead of a womb with a view, these guys get a precise depth measurement. At NDT Oil Company offices, Phil and Bill hope to convince the technicians that using their state-of-the-art equipment on a glorified rock is a great idea.
Bill Manning.
Nice to meet you.
We have a problem, I mean a big problem, because it involves a giant dinosaur bone, because I want to work out the thickness of the wall of the bone. Yeah. And I know the technology that you use might be able to answer this problem.
Phil's got their attention.
That would be really helpful.
They show him how the equipment works. The sound waves travel through the pipe until they hit a change in density. Then they bounce back. Phil hopes it'll work the same way with a fossilized bone. The results show up as a peak, providing an accurate measure of the thickness of the steel pipe.
This is going to work.
El tiempo de recorrido.
I just think this is the first time technology like this has ever been applied to a dinosaur bone.
And that's, you know...
I really think it's going to work, but we've just got to try it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it depends on the materials, and we don't know what's in those bones. But if we're lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Whether it's an oil pipe or a dino bone, the setup is the same. To make good contact, the gel must go on.
And that looks disgusting. But it's a good bit of bone to put it on. That's where we'd expect it to be nice and thick, and it's a solid bit, isn't it?
It may be slimy, but at least it's not going to break the bone. Now, the moment of truth. If this doesn't work, Phil's quest to find out if there's a bigger dino out there ends right here.
Oh, wow. Is that the real number?
That's a big number.
So you're reckoning about 50 to 60 millimeters. I mean, that's pretty believable.
60 millimeters, about as thick as a brick.
What happens when we go down?
But they take more readings to make sure the first one wasn't a fluke.
Yes! 60, it's about 60 mil again.
Yeah, about 60 again.
That is fantastic. It really is consistent.
Yeah. So all we need to do now is break this bone in half and see what it's really like.
You have to keep them.
Quick, get the saw.
It worked. No one has ever used this technology to study dinosaurs before.
That's good. I'm really pleased, guys. Thank you. This was worth waiting for, because there's no way we could have worked this out without this technology. That's the bottom line.
Now that they've determined the bone's thickness, they can construct their 3D model. They've played some long shots to get this far, but in this final stretch, they have no guarantee that the payoff will reveal the biggest dinosaur possible. Hoping for the best, Bill begins his meticulous work on the FEA model. Synthesizing what he now knows about the strength, structure and thickness of the bone, Bill creates a 3D version for the FEA to go to work on. The FEA program will load the bone with pressure that simulates a moving, supersized dinosaur until it breaks. While the FEA data crunches, Bill arranges a field trip to understand the kind of pressure a dinosaur bone had to cope with.
So, why do you want to borrow my nice telly?
It's a surprise.
Phil and Bill are at Intertech testing facility in San Antonio, Texas, where Victor and the Hulk specialize in breaking things.
It'll be worth it, Phil. It really will. Why do I not trust you, sellers?
The Hulk can exert up to 250 crushing tons of pressure. An Argentinosaurus weighing 90 tons exerted about 30 tons per leg while out for a stroll. Phil's TV is about to get a taste of dinosaur pressure, and Bill plans to capture the moment on high-speed camera.
You can turn my TV on now if you want, Victor. Okay, you got it.
You didn't really want it back, did you?
Yes.
It took 15 tons of pressure to permanently turn off Phil's TV.
Oh, look at that! That's incredible!
That's great.
Bloody hell, that went with some force. Well, 4 elephants worth of force.
But not as much force as an Argentinosaurus leg can handle.
Bastard.
The guys might have to up their estimate on how much pressure a dinosaur bone can endure. Now they'll try something with roughly the same shape and width of the Argentinosaurus thigh bone. This 3-meter PVC pipe will give the guys a better idea of how their FEA model might react under pressure.
I think we could be unlucky with this one. Tubes can sometimes buckle at really low values of stress, so I think maybe as low as a tenth.
Okay, so you're thinking 6,000 or 7,000 pounds?
Maybe, yeah.
And I'm up there with sort of the 30,000, 35,000 pounds.
Okay.
I just hope it doesn't explode. Is everything okay? What are we up to now, Victor? We're at 27,000.
27. Okay. Oops. 27, that's about what, 15 tons?
It's going to go bang in a minute. We're going to jump out of our skin, you know that.
Oh,
that's making that. Ah, look at it going at the bottom. Right at the collar.
Really? What are we at, Victor?
We're at 51,000.
51, bloody hell. Go on, pop. Way higher than I was expecting.
What are we at now, Victor? 55,000.
I mean, it's going to go, isn't it? It's going to go bang.
You can definitely see it was pinching at the bottom, but now it's just sort of stopped.
Oh, no, it is now, though.
Now you can see it going. Now you can see, look, it's actually changing colour.
Yeah.
There's
It's
a little
going,
pop
it's going,
coming outside.
It's going.
Look at that.
It's going to go. Look, it's buckling.
Yeah, it is.
It's buckling. It's going to go. See, it's folding, and it's going to. It's going to
deforming
plastic.
Is everybody all right? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
I'll send you the bill from the coronary care unit.
Now that's the one that hit you, actually. Look at that.
No, that's the one that hit me in the head right there.
That's a big piece of plastic. It's there. Look at that.
So what was the load that exploded at?
That was at 62,000 pounds.
We were miles off, weren't we?
31 tons of pressure, about the same as the Argentinosaurus thigh bone endured, caused the pipe to fail.
It's interesting, a tube was really very, very strong, which gives us hope. If you're a sauropod dinosaur and you've got legs which are effectively giant tubes of bone, I think you can withstand some pretty horrendous loads.
Now the guys have a real sense of dino-sized pressures. They're ready to load up the completed virtual FEA model.
Got it all fixed up, patched up all the holes, right size and everything.
What about the data from the cortical bone thickness?
Well, we've got that too. Let's pop it across. So we made it hollow. 55 millimeters and bone material properties. So it's as good as we're going to get.
Thanks to the information from the Argentinosaurus bone, Bill has created an accurate model to test how big dinosaurs could get.
Okay, so that should behave as a sauropod bone would behave in life.
Bill scaled the thigh bone to fit 3 imaginary dinosaurs. A 120-ton beast, a 240-ton, and a whopping 480-ton dino. They make 90-ton Argentinosaurus look puny by comparison. He'll load the bones as if each imaginary dinosaur were walking. If all the bones break, Argentinosaurus remains the heavyweight champ. But if any of the bones hold, it's possible there could be a bigger one out there.
We'll load it up with the sort of loads that we think a walking sauropod would generate. See what happens.
Okay, don't press the go button.
Okay.
The virtual pressure changes the color of the bones. Light green means reasonable stress. But any yellow, orange or red means the bone has failed.
What's happened here is, let's have a look at the numbers here. That's pushing it actually.
480 tons is too big. And so is 240. But initial indications show that a dinosaur could get at least 30 tons heavier than the current heavyweight.
I'm happy with the 120. That's the number I predict. That matches what we get from the skeleton. 150, it's looking, okay. And it creeps up. I'm less happy. So yeah, it's big. It's really big.
Now for the 120-ton question.
Can it walk then?
Click the button. So what do you think?
Good God, it's walking.
Yeah.
120 tons of lard.
It's amazing. This is the first ever reconstruction of a 120-ton dinosaur, and your model shows that it could walk.
The uniquely accurate testing techniques have calculated a new possible maximum size for dinosaurs.
In terms of mechanics, the animal works perfectly at that huge size.
How far do you think we can push it beyond the 120 tons then?
I think with this body shape, we can maybe push it up a little bit, maybe 150.
So really, out there in the rocks is something that is possibly even bigger than this, that was staggering around sometime in the Cretaceous.
Let's go find it.